the 1900s, black people were not considered as even humans. They were considered slaves and they had no human rights. If you had read the book To Kill a Mockingbird, in the book there is one black person who is alleged and who is sued for having raped a daughter of a farmer. In such a society, it is only liable to understand that this person will be convicted regardless of the circumstances. However, in the book, you can see that in the jury, because one person firmly believes that this person is innocent, the part of the jury, although might have been neglected, does not go neglected, and this person is able to fight for the right of this black person. Although in the end this person does get convicted, we get this strong message. Juries are not biased. Juries represent the society, and juries are not biased, but rather objective, which makes them liable to become a deciding member of the judicial system. Now, in today's debate, the proposition side would like to value democracy, and this government side believes that jury system is suitable and perfect for a democratic society. Now, we will be discussing three main arguments. The first is representation, and second is objectivity, and the final one will be discussed by our Deputy Prime Minister. Now, before moving on to the 3 points of government, I'd like to first talk about the basic underlying message that needs to be understood before going on to our case. In a jury system, there are 12 members in which each person is selected by random of the society. That person must have a national citizenship of that nation, and that person is chosen randomly. That person is sent a message through letter suggesting that they become a jury in the court case. They get education, professional education about law and about that court case that is objective and that is needed to understand the case. And then finally, they're brought to court on the court day and listen to all the speeches and makes a decision. In a jury system, most importantly, it is not merely done by majority vote, but by unanimous vote. In other words, all 12 jury members must agree and must go through a consensus in which they suggest to the judge and to the members of the court case. Now, through this, we can see that by this thorough process of choosing a jury and educating them and implementing them in the court case, the jury system allows citizens to be involved in one of the most basic rights that they have as a citizen in determining a court case. Now I'd like to move on to the first argument about representation. Now, first I'll be discussing why the jury system makes a democratic society. Now, democratic society simply means that it's a society where decisions are made by the members of society. In our government, which is the core of our society, there are three parts: the judicial, the legislative, and the executive. In the legislative system, we choose the members who will be making the laws, which makes it democratic. In the executive system, we also elect presidents or other officials, which makes it democratic. However, let's look in the judicial system. Who chooses the head of the one? The president does. There is no way a citizen can be actively involved in the judicial system, which makes it undemocratic. However, by implementing the jury system, we are able to bring our citizens' voice and opinions into the court case, which makes it democratic for society, which is the core. Now, secondly, I'm talking about how the jury system allows representation of these citizens. Now, as I've mentioned before introducing the arguments, the juries are chosen at random, and these although it is by random, there is no specific concentration or a certain number of people who have the same religious beliefs or from the same state or have the same ethnicity. They are all varied, and that is exactly why it is important to have a jury system. In our society, we have many different kinds of people from different religious views and different educational backgrounds and different families. However, one judge only has one educational background, one family, and is from one state and has one religious beliefs. However, in a jury, there is a diversity of these people, and that is what allows an objective decision, which will be elaborated in the second part of this argument, which is about objectivity. Now, objectivity can be divided into three main levels. The first is about the number itself, the second is about prevention of corruption, and finally is about the professionalism and the education that they will be able to receive. Now, to first talk about the number of people. Once again, there are 12 people in a jury and one person as a judge. Now we have to remember once again that when we are deciding a court case, although people may be educated, there is an unconscious level of bias and prejudice in every person's mind. Even though a judge may be educated through legal means and through years of hard work, there is a certain limit that cannot be achieved through education. In other words, when we're deciding on only from one perspective on a court case, that is never objective. On the other hand, if there are 12 people from 12 different backgrounds, then these people are able to gather their opinions and make a consensus that represents the decision of our society, not an individual, which makes it objective. And not only in terms of, and most importantly, another thing that we have to remember here is often, although not always, not most, but often these judges are from a rich and good educational background. That makes it more liable for these people of high educational backgrounds to receive a advantage in determining a court case. In other words, it is necessary for the jury system to be implemented for all parts of our society to have a fair chance in determining a court case. And the second part is about corruption. Now, corruption happens in all levels of society, and the judicial system is not an exception. Judges are liable for corruption, and one person is more easily corrupt than 12. And that is one other reason why we should have the jury system, because this is one method in preventing corruption. Now, the final is about education. Many people might suggest that the juries are uneducated, do not understand the court case, or do not understand the legal measures. However, one other thing that we must understand is that these people are called to the court before the actual case occurs, before the actual court decision occurs, and these people are educated thoroughly about which legal measures that they have to understand and which court cases, and they receive explanation about the case itself, which makes them perfectly liable to become a member who decides the court. In other words, the jury system is a democratic method of deciding a court case. Thank you.
Thank you.